Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe.
Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis? Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Well, why is America
not the greatest country in the world, Professor? That's my answer. Straight face. You're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom? Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yeah, you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. One of them is there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, it sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured disease, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed by great men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
You're full of shit.
Alright, thank you.
No, shush. Shush.
In any country, prison is where society sends its failures. But in this country, society itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
You crazy.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Shut your mouth, because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical. Hold it.
Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by.
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I wanted to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life tour. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You gotta come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
I went to an Ivy League school.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically.
That was...
Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one other.
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
Good evening, everyone. This is another edition of Tape Fist Politics, TFP Tuesday. I'm Ben Cat, and joining me right now on the panel is MD20. What's going on, MD?
Peace. What's going on?
All right. All right. Yeah, so today's episode is going to be dealing with Roe versus Republicans, and we're looking into the recent history here of Republicans' mission to overturn Roe versus Wade and the pushback from the pro-choice movement. Before we get into it, let's go ahead and start the lead story today, which is Roe versus Republicans. And we'll be back right on the other end.
This is CNN Breaking News. Breaking news just into us here at CNN. United States Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia has died.
With that vacancy, the question is, will a Republican-controlled Senate...
President Barack Obama's replacement would give Democrats a 5-justice majority on the court.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell just releasing a statement.
This vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president.
4.5 weeks after Justice Scalia died, today President Obama announced his nomination
as President Obama nominates.
Undeterred by McConnell, President Obama would forge ahead.
Today I am nominating Chief Judge Merrick Brian Garland to join the Supreme Court.
Thank you, Mr. President.
One day after top Senate Republicans decidedly dug in their heels, saying they will not even hold hearings, won't even meet with the president's nominee.
This decision ought to be made by the next president.
Mitch McConnell joins us now from Capitol Hill. Senator, thanks for being here.
He fought back, hitting the airwaves.
The right of center world does not want this vacancy filled by this president. We're not giving lifetime appointments to this president on the way out the door to change the Supreme Court for the next 25 or 30 years.
Senator Mitch McConnell says.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell
Has told President Obama
has vowed to block. He is the most obstructionist, bill blockingist.
said it would be a waste.
To many, Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell is the face of obstruction.
On the air in the West tonight, and we begin with that breaking news. President Trump just moments ago in the East Room of the White House revealing Judge Neil Gorsuch is his pick for the Supreme Court.
He announced his Supreme Court pick, Judge Neil Gorsuch.
So was that a surprise? Was it?
The court, a critical issue for Mr. Trump's supporters in the campaign, and he knew it.
You have to vote for me anyway. You know why? Supreme Court judges. Supreme Court judges.
With this appointment, the court's delicate balance won't change. President Trump's pick replacing Justice Scalia to form the four-man conservative bloc, squaring off against the four liberals, three of them women, with Justice Anthony Kennedy, 80 years old, the crucial swing vote. The court's agenda in the coming years expected to include abortion rights cases, the battle to overturn Roe v. Wade still raging.
I am pro-life, and I will be appointing pro-life judges.
This is an ABC News special report. President Trump's Supreme Court nominee.
Now, because President Trump is about to announce one of the most consequential moves a president can make. His next choice to fill a vacancy on the Supreme Court, the seat held by retiring Justice Anthony Kennedy for more than 30 years. Kennedy, a conservative appointed by Ronald Reagan, but so often the key swing vote on the court, siding with liberals on social issues like gay marriage, abortion, and affirmative action.
Tonight, it is my honor and privilege to announce that I will nominate Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Norah O'Donnell in Washington. We are coming on the air at this hour because CBS News has confirmed that Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died at the age of 87 from complications from metastatic pancreatic cancer.
President Trump today named Judge Amy Coney Barrett as his choice to succeed the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The nomination kicks off a furious and unprecedented scramble to confirm her in the Senate with just 38 days to go before the election. Today, Joe Biden said in a statement, the Senate should not act on this vacancy until after the American people select their next president and the next Congress.
Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
The announcement of Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
A judge must apply the law as written. Judges are not policymakers, and they must be resolute in setting aside any policy views they might hold.
The decision was instantly cheered among many religious conservatives and activists who support Barrett's anti-abortion views.
Do you want to see Roe versus Wade overturned?
What we want is to restore the rights guaranteed in the democratic process to people in states to pass laws that reflect the will of the states.
Where do privacy and personal freedom begin, and where do they end? Questions that have framed an enduring divide in modern America. One many thought was settled nearly 50 years ago when the Supreme Court affirmed a constitutional right to an abortion. Today, the court answered that question again, this time on a 5-4 vote, taking away what was regarded as a fundamental right. Right now, new laws banning abortion are taking effect in several states, just hours after the court overturned the landmark Roe versus Wade decision, leaving it to states to decide whether abortion is legal. When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade last year, there was immediate and palpable outrage that spread quickly across the country. And a lot of people thought that that outrage would translate into electoral doom for the political party that had been pushing to end Roe.
The kind of angry leftists, many of whom are pretty ignorant and don't even know what overturning Roe means, I think a month afterwards are going to be surprised, wait, nothing about my life changed.
There's a narrative forming in America that the Republican Party and the pro-life movement is on the run. No. We're going nowhere.
My guess is, in terms of the impact on federal races, I think it's probably going to be a wash.
Did not turn out to be a wash. Not even close. In Kansas, in Vermont, in California, in Michigan, in Montana, in Kentucky, literally everywhere abortion rights were on the ballot, abortion rights won. In the 2022 midterm election, Republicans predicted a red wave. But that red wave crested before it could even reach the shore. Supporters of abortion rights turned out in droves to stem that tide. And last night, it happened again. In Ohio, a state Trump won by 8 points in 2020, people voted by a margin of 13 points to enshrine abortion rights in their state constitution. In Kentucky, a state that Donald Trump won by 26 points in 2020, voters chose to re-elect Democratic Governor Andy Beshear, who very vocally campaigned on protecting abortion rights.
Democrats are trying to scare women into thinking Republicans don't want abortion legal under any circumstances.
No abortion ban. I mean, I think that's what the voters said. We've seen it in polling for a long time. When we looked at the midterm elections last year, we said instead of a red wave, we saw a red ripple. In large part, I think that was because of abortion.
These results, though, do underscore the potency of the abortion rights issue. If the Democrats could run abortion rights against Trump in 2024, they'd probably do very well indeed.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
I'm the one that got rid of Roe v. Wade.
I was able to do it, and I was very honored to do it.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form. There, of course, remains a vital role for the federal government in protecting unborn life.
Nobody has ever done more for right to life than Donald Trump. Roe v. Wade, they won. They finally won.
The Iowa bill was signed, and they wouldn't have been able to do anything if I wasn't able to do what I did.
Okay, there we go. The abortion issue, it's a hot button issue in politics. We'll start with MD. What is your view on the way that the abortion issue is being pretty much seems to be backfiring on the Republicans? What are your thoughts on this, MD?
Oh, well, I remember talking about this when the decision came down. And this is why I call myself the prophet amongst men, right? I sat there and said when the Roe decision came down to go back to the states that it was the right decision. Technically, via the Constitution. Just like the 10th Amendment said. All federal duties not delegated to the federal jurisdiction go back to the states, i.e. abortion rights. It was the right decision. I also said that if this get put on the table as far as a vote for the people, that's where you'll see political ideology show or not show. And I said most likely the outcome will be a pro-choice outcome if put on a ballot. And lo and behold, here we are last week, all of these states voted for legal abortion. And again, right decision, because the states have that right to allow the people to decide. It's not rocket science. The political idiocy from the Christian nationalists believe somehow putting in these conservative Supreme Court justices was going to enable them to try to codify in the law some type of national abortion ban. How can you use Roe v. Wade in the sense of making it a state issue and then turn around and try to make it a national issue again by trying to ban it? Just the hypocrisy of it all. But that lets you know that conservatism is dead because they don't know if they're going left or right. They're using right-wing Christian talking points to try to solidify their position amongst their constituents and just saying to hell with the Constitution, though they use the Constitution to try to make their point. You know what I mean? It's like you don't know if you're going up or down. And this is the problem dealing with these type of situations. People are going to go mob rule democracy based on anti right wing agenda. And for the most part, with a lot of it, they should, but don't let it blow back in your face, so to speak. That's what I say about it.
Okay, Ricardo, welcome to the panel. What do we think viewpoints on the Roe versus Wade issue right now, and the potential that this could continue bleeding to the 2024 election as well?
Okay, I was just about to say if you guys can hear me, because it's a little bit bad. Hey guys, so yeah, in terms of the Roe v. Wade historical challenge that we saw abruptly happen last year, it is definitely going to be a hot topic button issue for the upcoming election. The reason why I will state it is because you already saw the fall or the blowback from it from the midterms, and when like the clip reel was stating, you saw everybody was chanting this whole red wave nonsense that they were going on and on and on about. I was like, oh, okay, so they are predicting, like they predicted with the Hillary case, that it was going to be a significant win. When the midterms came around, and they were warned, the Republicans, the conservatives were warned about this. If you push too much, you were going to get blowback, and it did rally the just like when the Me Too movement did that significant push, it rallied a certain segment of the crowd that were not gonna like make this just roll over and it was just gonna go by idly, just quietly. They went out in significant droves and made a point, and that's why you didn't see a red wave. Particularly, like MD mentioned, if we're gonna go by the constitutional element of this, was it whether or not it's a good choice? I don't know. But if we're going to go by the paper format of how we're going with the Constitution, then yes, it was the right decision. But in terms of how the states are going to delegate this, it's kind of going to be, I think it's going to be, I want to say it's going to be one of them cases where you're going to see either the conservative states do a significant amount of damage if they're not too careful, and then you have the liberal states that are going to just do their thing like we expect them to do. So we're going to more than likely see a lot of what's the word I'm looking for, a lot of court cases that are going to come about because of the challenges that I foresee happening. Are they going to be significant enough to really like make a dent? Probably, possibly, but I mean, it's been around for so many years that I'm sure there's more than one template that they could use in terms of the dedication of it. For the upcoming election year, I do see a lot of votes going towards the liberals in terms of how the progressive portion of the Liberal Party puts this. The other thing that MD mentioned was the evangelical crowd. Yes, they are to be blamed, and I've been saying this from day one. I cannot stand the evangelical crowd. I'm going to go on record and say I can't stand them. I don't see the purpose of them, because here you are, they're continuously thinking that they are the significant voice of the country. That's not the case if we're going to go by the midterm election. It seems that the country split evenly apart in terms of 50-50 in terms of what they want progressive-wise. And this was one of them issues where in droves made it quite clear when it comes to their bodies, they want to have a voice being significantly heard. So if we're going to go by the element of Christian values, which is why I keep saying, if you're going to use who as the main progressive person of that side of the party, you're going to have a problem, because he is not a conservative. You can't have somebody who is a liberal thinker be a part of your conservative push in terms of your leadership. It won't work. I don't see that happening, and I don't see independent voters going for it either. But I digress. It depends on how much of a cult following he has. Then maybe perhaps he might, and it's not even maybe, we know he's going to win, because even these delegated fields that we see on the panel list this week pretty much foretells or tells you how it's going to end up. And I keep seeing it. It's just pointless even having these debates. But back to the topic at hand. Yes, it's going to be a significant issue for the upcoming election year. And the conservative have it coming. I mean, Trump made it clear he picked people he wanted, and the Conservative Party picked who they wanted and whispered in Trump's ears, and here we are. So let's see what happens.
Okay, great points between both of y'all. I think that the Republican Party seems to have the fringe areas of the party running or pushing the narrative of the day. And a lot of these things are not even strategically intelligent to do. And we're paying the price. We're paying the price for all these weird focuses that are QAnons and all these crazy agendas that are being pushed by MAGA and other parts of the Republican Party that may be the main parts of the main Republicans in the party that are not involved with that, and they just want to get to good old-fashioned classic Republican values and laws and principles. They're being drowned out, and the loudest voice right now is the smallest people in the party. And I think that's a losing strategy. And Donald Trump, since 2016, and even then, he didn't come out, he lost the popular vote, but 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and now here we are in 23. There have been major losses for the Republican Party. So I don't know about the winning that's happening, but it's not a good direction. So you have a person, Joe Biden, who has, right now with inflation and all these other issues, those should drag him down. But this push button issue or topic, which was caused. You remember Trump at the end of the video, he said it himself. I did this. Pointing out, in his local rallies, he points out very quickly, he wants to get that credit. And again, that's something he didn't even do. That was Mitch McConnell's. So I don't know. There's going to be an interesting situation in 2024. It may not go down the way we think or feel.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
I was going to say real quick, I commend those states that put it up for a vote. As we know, a lot of conservative states, especially in the South, did not do that. Why? Because they put it through legislation. Like I can like for the state of Georgia, the heartbeat bill. We didn't vote on that as a constituency. They put that in front of the state house. And of course, the state house is conservative, so they voted for it. So I commend the states that put it up to the people and let them decide what they wanted to be, an abortion state or a non-abortion state. Me personally, I think that resolution should be on the table for all of us in whichever state that we live in. So take that into consideration. They didn't necessarily have to put that up as a public bill. They didn't have to do that, but they did it because they wanted to gauge what the constituency of that particular state felt about the certain aspect of abortion. And you saw, especially in a place like Kansas, you don't get no more conservative than Kansas. You know what I mean? But even in the state of Kansas said, hey, if we're looking at it from the aspect of female rights, however you want to take that, then yes, they should be able to have that right to abortion, even in a place like Kansas. So just take that in consideration.
But also, MD, I wanted to, probably just be a devil's advocate here. Do you feel that most conservative people, even though they chant and they go on and on about abortion, like I guess that's a question that Trevor was asking. What are you guys' views on abortion, first of all? Well, if we're gonna go by the textbook definition of abortion, really and truly, abortion basically is what? The deliberate termination of a human pregnancy, most often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy, if I'm not mistaken. So if we're gonna go by that, do you feel that most conservative people, if they're put in a precarious position, would they not want to have an abortion? If they feel like, for instance, we're gonna go by the context of maybe an essay, or maybe a case where there is, I don't know, I'm trying to come up with like things that are like real life situations that we wouldn't see out in the open, but I'm sure there's people who are in the fringes that are in certain states that are probably like, okay, well, yeah, I might be conservative, but I might go for an abortion because maybe at the time of thinking, maybe this is the course of, the course I would like to take, or blah blah blah. But I mean, some people will chant and go on and on, but behind closed doors, they're probably thinking the opposite. So don't you think that would be the case for certain or some people in the conservative party?
Me personally, I'm saying that most conservatives don't give a damn.
But
That's what I'm
MD,
saying.
but MD, it
Go
seems like
ahead.
the only ones that give a damn are the conservatives. They're the ones pushing the issue.
Right.
Well, let me be specific. When I say don't give a damn, meaning they personally don't give a damn.
Mm.
The people that give a damn are their constituents. I give you an example. This why to me, shit. Man, I'm sorry, cut my bad. Was it Nikki Haley?
Mm.
Nikki Haley lost cool points with me because she was first touting states' rights when it came to abortion.
I remember that.
Last Wednesday, she didn't say that. Last Wednesday, because she got pressure put on her from the conservative right to try to gauge where she was within the Republican Party, she then turned around and said that I'm willing to compromise with the other side of the aisle to get something done on a national level when it comes to abortion. Well, what does that mean? First, you said state rights. That lets me know whatever your constituency think, that's how you're gonna think based on you trying to get votes. So
Right.
when I say don't give a damn, I mean that from a personal aspect. They don't give a damn. That's why you see all these different views and opinions on the Republican side when it comes to how to fight abortion rights. I mean, the Roe v. Wade just proves that Mitch McConnell did everything that he could to try to basically be an obstructionist to Obama placing in Supreme Court justice on the basis that he would get federal conservative ruling. That wasn't the case, but at least not with Roe v. Wade. So when I say don't give a damn, I'm talking about personally. They now from a political aspect, they all for a national ban on abortion, but that's just because that's the outlook of their base. So you're gonna continue to see different views. You're gonna continue to see stumbling and bumbling when it comes to the fact. That's what I'm saying.
But it's kind of interesting though. Sorry to cut you on, Venkat.
No, you're good.
It's very interesting and very telling on the conservative part, because even, wasn't it like last week they found some conservative dude that was cross-dressing or being whatever, and
Exactly.
Yes, they did.
Exactly.
It tells me when they do these things where they're chanting and they go on and on, oh yeah, we're pro this and we're very uber conservative and we're uber Christian, but then behind closed doors, like I stated, they are thinking the complete opposite and doing the complete opposite as well. So to me, it's that there's a certain delegation of, or certain portion of the Republican Party that may, if they're put in a particular position, would do the abortion, but they won't say it out loud. But then again, if based on what you're saying, then yes, if it's going by the base, then they have no choice. But interesting
Right.
though, back to Nikki Haley, because she wouldn't have a choice anyways but to work with the people across the aisle. You don't have a choice. This is what the American voters told you in the midterms. They don't want the nonsense. They want you to actually delegate the country. If we continue down this course like we continue, that we foresee today, when they averted the government strike until next year, we all know why it's until next year. if we're not that dunce. I mean, they're trying to use it as a political ploy going into the election. Whether or not that would work, I still don't understand why they couldn't just, alleviate it further on. But I get it. It's a political, masterminding move. But I'm glad it's averted, and that was my main thing. So at least it's off the table for now. But like I stated, she had no choice but to work with her colleagues across the aisle. This whole obstructionist nonsense that I see them do, that was the whole point or the premise to having them in the losing my train of thought today. In terms of them being working hand in hand, that's the whole point of it. Like, you can't be just your party and then you're not going to work with the liberals, or the liberals are not going to work with the conservatives. You have no choice. We, the people, vote you in to do that. When they start doing all this nonsense and it becomes a whole, like, I'm going to just do my own thing here, it defeats the whole purpose. So she had no choice. So to get to that point, I remember when she said that, but I knew it wasn't going to catch on too long, because, again, every time they push back, just like they did with Marjorie Taylor Greene, they will always go, oh, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I said. Because they get terrified. You can't say certain things or they're going to vote you out. So she had no.
Well, I give pushback on that, because that defeats the whole purpose of them going after Roe v. Wade in the first place.
Mm.
If your whole goal is to come to a compromise on what a national abortion outlook would be, that literally just defeated the purpose of Roe v. Wade. You should have left it as is then, if that was the case.
Exactly.
So that's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say these people don't know if they're coming or going. The whole strategy behind reversing Roe v. Wade was, now I'm talking about from a conservative outlook, was to try to give an interpretation of what a national ban looked like, not knowing that the Supreme Court ruled from a constitutional aspect of saying, I don't care what your national outlook on abortion is, it's up to the states. What I'm telling you is that wasn't the plan that Mitch McConnell put in his head when doing this whole thing.
Exactly.
His whole goal was a national abortion ban. The Supreme Court, with all of their conservative opinionated spills, went off the Constitution saying, I don't care if you pro or anti, it's not up to you as a federal legislator to decide. It's up to these states. So your plan blew up in your face is what happened. Now, from an opinionated aspect, Nikki Haley in the first debate said the correct thing. But because of the Christian national base of the Republican Party, she was forced into answering a question that she, in my opinion, doesn't agree with.
So if Nikki Haley is changing on a dime like that, what does that say about her leadership if she was to be voted in as president? Would you have any confidence in her?
Point taken. And Nikki Haley, that's my girl. But she messed up.
But you could say the same thing too, Venkat, for the Supreme Court nominees that Trump put in. They all looked like they were going to vote for everything that Trump stated, but then when they got onto the actual delegated desk, or the servitude that they have, they realized quickly, hey, you got to fall in line here, because if you're going to go by the context rules of why you were nominated, you're going to go by what the book says. So a lot of times when they say these things, when they're being championed and going on and on about what they want, when you get into the actual position and you see what it's like, and somebody says to you, hey, you're going to go by the textbook because we've been here, we paid our dues, you're now the new kid coming in, you're going to fall in line, you're going to fall in line correctly. This is what the book says, this is what the Constitution says, you're going to go by that. So when what was the first guy that they weren't trying to put in first for Trump, with the whole essay
Gorsuch.
Yeah.
When he came in, I knew exactly from that moment when the liberal side was trying so hard to get him out. I knew when we was previously under Bush administration, so I knew for a fact that he was going to go sailing through, but it wasn't going to be easy. But he was, the way he presented himself, it made it seem like, oh, I'm just going to go because Trump picked me, and I was like, that's not how it's going to work, because as soon as you get in, all those people that are there before you are going to, I'm sure they're going to sit you down and have a conversation with you and say, listen, new kid, it's good to have all these clear thoughts and being progressive and all of that. But at the end of the day, you're here, you were placed here, and you're going to follow the context of the book, of the
Right.
Constitution. This is the rule of the land. This was laid first by the forefathers. You're going to follow exactly the interpretation what they gave, and you're going to do it exactly how it's presented. So I started laughing immediately, because when Trump was going on about, oh, this is what's going to happen, I said, no, baby, it ain't going to happen. No, you want it to happen. It's going to go by what the Constitution.
Exactly.
Right, it's gonna work. So it's always the same thing all the time. Everybody will say one thing, but when it comes to being in that position, baby, it is you're gonna do exactly, you're gonna fall in line. That's how it works.
So going off something
one more.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna say one more thing, Venkat. I hope you get into this tonight. I don't know if you are, but I hope you get into this. You yourself, Venkat, is a prophet amongst men. I remember a couple of weeks, well, about a month ago, we was having a discussion about the Supreme Court, and you was talking about ethics.
Right.
You know, yesterday that the Supreme Court adopted an ethics code. You're a prophet, bro.
Yep.
You're a prophet.
Yeah. Yep. And we got that covered on there too. We got it coming. So yeah, what I wanted to say was going from what Ricardo was saying just a little while ago, as far as you know, a Republican, what if they're in a compromising position where they needed to have an abortion done? Like, let's say, like the story of the I think it was like a 10-year-old that got raped by an illegal alien, and then she needed to cross state lines to have an abortion done. So I don't know. I just think it's very hypocritical, because they're in politics, they're saying one thing, but in reality and in their real life, it's a whole other. And there are very real reasons why you may need to have an abortion. I mean, you're not going to have the woman die, or or I mean, I don't know. To me, my just going by what Trevor was saying, the question that he posed for us: what are you guys' views on abortion? First of all, my view is very simple and basic. I don't understand why people that don't want the government to do anything or have their hand in any aspect of their life then turn around and tell women that they're going to do this and this is all it's going to be. It's their body, it's their time, it's their thing to decide what they're going to do. And the fact that we're literally having people getting hurt or possible death because of not being able to have access to an abortion, that's kind of crazy to me. They should be able to make that decision and that choice for themselves. And on the flip side, the guns, we have no trouble saying that's off limits. You can't have any legislation banning this or restricting this or doing any of that. But with the abortion and women's right to choose, we're all open to that. And it's the conservative movement, the people that are individualists or whatever, they're the ones that are, I'm just saying, they're the ones that are supposed to not want government to enact that way. And you see they're very free with that. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I agree. As an individualist, you do have that right to have an abortion as a woman. I mean, your body, your choice, all that goodness, right? Here's the thing. From a aspect of, I guess you would say, confiscating somebody else's rights, i.e. that child, even though you would be the custodian of that child, I have to have a hell of a reason from an aspect of civil rights. Not when I say civil rights, I'm talking about in the sense of a not here yet citizen. What is the reasoning behind you having that abortion? Now, here's the thing. Am I pro-life in that aspect? Yes, because that life is an a potential American citizen. If you have the choice to basically not bring that life into the United States of America, you got to pay a heavy price for it. That goes back to your personal decisions, your self responsibility as an American citizen. Yeah, you can have an abortion, but you're gonna pay for it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna pay for it big time. It's not the federal government. Hell, in my opinion, it's not the state government responsibility to pay for that abortion. It just ain't. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So, as the old adage always said, what grandma said, if you get into bed, if you lie in it, you got to come up out of it with the responsibility. However the old adage go, you make the bed, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's
So
where I'm
so
at with it. Yeah, you should have that right, but you're
so
gonna
you
pay for that right.
would you be okay with, let's say, abortions, the cost would just dramatically go up? You know how they have guys that are buying patents to pills and different medication, and then they turn around and put it back on the market for like $1,000 a pill and some nonsense like that. What if abortions were like ridiculously priced, where you damn near had to be very well off or rich to get an abortion?
Thank you. You know my response to that already. I don't even know how you act. I'm a capitalist. Supply and demand. If the supply and if the demand in abortion is high, the price is gonna go up. Period. Or you can go to Mexico and get it the cheap way. However you want to do it. Again, I'm an individual.
But but I'm gonna be the devil's advocate again. If that's the case, though, wouldn't that same push be applicable to, like, say, contraceptives in a sense? Because I mean, to try to prevent, or but then again, the responsibility still falls on the adult, like you mentioned. But I'm just being the devil's advocate here. Why?
Hey, I agree with you. I
Why
agree
not
with you.
push
It
contraceptives?
should it should be it should be it should be expensive to have sex. The easy way. I agree.
Got you. No, I mean, it's look, for me, in terms of the position that I stand on for abortion. When I was a little bit on the immature side, I would always go, yeah, pro-choice, yeah, we're gonna do this, yeah, blah blah blah, until I was placed in a position where I had to make that decision with my spouse. It wasn't until that moment where I went, oh, wait a minute, wait, hold up. The doctors was like so cleared, like, oh yeah, this is what's gonna happen, and your child is not gonna make it, and did it. And they were like, oh, and this is, mind you, this is 36 weeks into the pregnancy. And the doctor turned around and looked me dead in my eye and said, oh, you should be thinking about doing an abortion. I said, you must have lost your ever loving effing mind. And she gave me this look, and I said, no. I said, you must have lost your mind. I said, no. And then she looked like, so she's like, oh my God, after all the information I told you, I said, no. I said, you are not God. I said, you do not make that decision for me. I make that decision. And therefore, I'm going to tell you now, no, I am not going to be having an abortion. And she was like, well, based on the textbooks, I said, textbook my ass. I said, how many cases in the textbook have you seen where it states that this is how it's always going to be going probability wise? And she goes, well, this is just maybe 50-50. I said, there you go. I said, you're just a doctor. You don't know how it's going to end up turning out. So in terms of my views on abortion, over the years, it's changed quite considerably until I was placed in a position to make that choice. And I realized I'm not so liberal like I thought I was in the thinking of abortion. But I also agree, because I made, this is going to be coming off harder. Hopefully the person is listening. Many years ago, I had a friend that she decided to do an abortion. And the father of the child at the time did not know, and he didn't find out until afterwards. And when he was explaining it to me how he felt, I said to myself, I felt horrible, because maybe if she had went and approached him or had a conversation with him, maybe the outcome would have been different, because he didn't get to make that decision with her. It was more so along the lines of, she thought he wouldn't be able to take care of the kid. And I thought, why would you not have I mean, he knew she was pregnant, but she still went ahead with it anyway. So he didn't really get a say per se to do it. So I think it should be a shared emphasis on both partnership having a say in abortion as opposed to just the woman making that choice, if that makes sense. Because yeah, we always taught the mantra of yes, the woman is her body, her choice, her this, da 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 da. But at the same time, it takes two to make a child, not just one. So I mean, I feel bad now looking back at it. So that's why I'm like, part of me probably is a little bit. That's why I always say I talk the line of being conservative slash liberal or liberal slash conservative. I'm just in the middle because it's tough being in a position where you have to make that choice. But if it's a situation where it's an SA or if it's a M, then and it or if it's a graphic one where it was one of them decisions that the woman had to make a choice and she doesn't want it. Yeah, I believe in her choice to do it, but it's still it's one of them. Yeah, it's one of them tough choice. But I do believe in fair choice for her to make that decision. But I also believe if it's a partnership or if it's a situation where it's two people knowing that there was a pregnancy, it shouldn't be that it falls on just the woman just making that decision, if that makes sense. So hopefully that was clear because I know the person's listening today.
Whose responsibility is that? Theirs or the state's?
It should be their responsibility. At the end of the day,
There you go.
If it comes down to the decision where they can't make that decision, then by all rights, I think the state should. But like Vancat says, why would I put that in the hands of people who we then turn around and say, oh, but we don't want this and this to happen, but then we're trusting them to make certain decision. That's kind of like, I mean, crazy in a sense.
Okay.
I disagree with that, but I get your point. Like I
Let's
said, if you rooted in debauchery, that's on you.
all right, let's welcome his royal otherness to the panel. What's going on, Mike?
Thank you, kind sir. Thank you. Otherness Incorporated LLC. If you're looking for otherness help, I'm here to assist. I feel like my twin saw my comment and jumped on my thing. That's why I hate going last. So I'm going to reiterate what both of the gentlemen said first. I agree with both of them because I definitely think if a man has to pay child support, then a man needs to have a decision-making power. He needs to have something. Because I honestly feel like, I know we talk about SA and the grape word all the time. Look up the percentage of people who get abortions for that. Guarantee you it ain't that big. Most abortions are, that dude didn't have curly hair. Man, that was a bad drunk night. That's what most abortions are. And the government should not pay for them. You have, if you aren't responsible, you deal with it. That's what men do. That's what men have been doing. And I don't want to hear this, it's my body, it's my decision foolishness, when nobody on this panel had the decision to sign up for selective services. Did you guys have to sign up for selective services? I believe you did.
I absolutely did.
I believe you did. You couldn't do anything in this country.
Absolutely.
And if they pop off right now and North Korea set it off and they do a draft, you have no choice but to show your butt up and get your M16 and go to war. So I don't want to hear it's my body, my choice, because we don't get to, that's our body rights. That's our life. We don't get to dictate. We have to move. It's part of being in a republic. It's a responsibility of being an American. And I'm sorry, if you want to have an abortion willy-nilly, if it's not life, if it's not going to kill you, have the baby and put it up for adoption. There's a whole bunch of, I said this the other day, there's a whole bunch of people that want those kids. Now, I personally don't care. I know people are like, oh, the sanctity of the children and the children. I don't care. I believe we're being overpopulated and the world is dying slowly. Sorry, y'all know I'm the fatalist. So I don't care. If you want to kill all your kids off, go ahead. I have no problem with it. But in the words of my individualistic friend, the government should not pay for your debauchery. That's on you. You wanted to have the threesome in Vegas because whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That kid didn't stay in Vegas. Came back with you, didn't it? And now you want to get rid of it so your husband don't find out. Well, we shouldn't pay for it. You're allowed to be a thought. That's your right to be a thought. But I'll be damned if my tax is gonna pay for it. You get that on your own, sweetie. So sorry.
Right.
That's
Just
how I feel personally.
Just like we don't want the government to police us in the damn bedroom either. I mean, that was the whole point of why we have separation of state and religion. It's the same thing that's applicable here. I just don't think there's certain things I think the government should not be idealistically be involved in. But at the same time, I agree with everybody's sentiments. You make the decision, it's falling back on you. I just don't think, unless if you know you're incapacitated in the sense where you can't make the decision on your own, then it should go to the states. But you are the one that decided to do what you wanted to do. So therefore, you play stupid games and win stupid prizes. So here we are.
What did we think of what Donald Trump said in that segment there, where he said he was asked by this MSNBC host about should the woman face punishment? Should the woman have some sort of punishment as far as when they're trying to get an abortion? So do we feel that way? Like there should be some sort of punishment involved? Would it be financial or legislative?
Donald Trump don't even feel that way. Again, it goes back to my point. He's saying stuff to appease his base. I can only imagine how many women Donald Trump done paid to get abortions.
Thank you.
I can only imagine. This concept is not real to the politician. It's made up. It's only real to the people that follow this extreme ideology of Christian nationalism. That's who it's real to. So you're gonna say, as a good salesman would, what your customers want to hear.
But who should be holding them accountable for that, though? Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's the
voters,
people with common sense.
Voters.
But when we try to hold them accountable, we get certain people get the backlash though, like, oh no, you're not doing, and then you're not doing. And I'm saying to myself, but then if you're conservative like you tout yourself to be, why is it that you will follow a man that tells you he was a billionaire at once upon a time? Then he's money. That makes no sense to me at all. Where's your money that you're supposed to be having to be funding your campaign? Why am I turning around and take my hard-earned cash to fund you? May that make sense? But then again, I mean, the delusion is real out there. So there's only so much you could say to a rock before the rock starts making sense to you. If that makes.
Are y'all smoking? Like, I don't understand. It's like every time
I
talk to
y'all,
you know what I'm saying, bro.
Go ahead, say it.
I'm trying not to, sir. I'm trying to be different. I'm turning over a new leaf. But I don't understand why you think there's common sense in this country. There is no common sense in this country. There's no people with sense. There's no people that are ever going to hold women accountable. All these things are dreaming. This country is going to hell. We're going to burn. We're just going to burn. Accept it. If you guys accept it, you'll be a lot happier like me.
That's the fiddlist in you speaking, Mike. That's the fiddlist.
No, it's the reality. When have you said you want women to be held accountable? Where in this country are women held accountable?
True.
These heifers just made a list about where you can't take them on a date.
Need we be reminded about this?
Well, but again, that's ideology though. Like all we talk about is ideology at the end of the day. We're talking about a pseudo freedom aspect of an ideology of the left. That's where all that stuff comes from. Now, what's combating that? An extreme moral Christian nationalist ideology on the right. There ain't no in between.
Pseudo moral, sir. Pseudo moral.
Okay, I give you that. I grant you that. There's no in between to the sensible human being in this country. That's the issue. That's the issue.
We all on the panel.
Well, I'm there. That's it. There you go. You know what I'm saying? It's
Okay.
extremism at the end of the day.
You know that's starting to sound like, sir? Starting to sound like you're an individual fatalist.
I ain't no fatalist because I think it can be done. It just got to be done in steps. That's all.
And where in this country has people taken the first step been simple?
Well, I
There
can
you
see
go.
to your point.
Come on over to my side.
No, there's a glimmer of hope, Mike. There's a glimmer of hope.
Yes. That's what I use to make you guys feel like crap later on when I show you it wasn't a glimmer of hope. Somebody was just lighting a Newport.
All right. So we'll be looking at this. Obviously, the elections 2024 will be heavily impacted by this issue. Right now, we want to go to an update, as MD alluded earlier. So we'll do a news update right now.
Supreme Court Monday adopted a formal code of conduct following months of scrutiny for undisclosed trips and gifts. Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito are two in particular who have faced questions. The code begins with a statement saying there had been, quote, the misunderstanding that the justices regard themselves as unrestricted by any ethics rules. Their effort at correcting that misunderstanding contains a few major principles. 1, uphold integrity and independence. 2, avoid impropriety. And 3, be fair, impartial, and diligent. The code also includes guidelines for recusal and outside speaking engagements. CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford joins us now from the court. So, Jan, going back in history, how would this code have treated the gifts and travel given to Justice Thomas, Alito, Sotomayor that were a part of the run-up to creating this code of ethics in the first place?
Well, you know, that's kind of what we think is really driving a lot of this, right? I mean, you've seen Justice Thomas and some of the other justices under intense media scrutiny for accepting gifts and travel from some of their wealthy friends. Other justices doing events to promote their book and getting book royalties. There's been a lot of media coverage. Senate Democrats have really jumped on that and says it calls into question the entire legitimacy of the Supreme Court. They say in this code of conduct, it's very clear, it closely tracks the code of conduct that all lower court judges have to follow. So that would now suggest that those kind of gifts and travel would be impermissible. But here's the rub. Those gifts and travel, when they did them, there wasn't clear it was banned at all. And in fact, those rules changed just last year. So the justices said last year and earlier this year that they wouldn't do those kind of travel and gifts anymore because the rules were different. The rules were new. And today they're saying they're going to follow those new rules just like they've already told us. So it wouldn't. Yes, it would apply to the gifts and travel that they did years ago that they said they're not going to do anymore. But they're not doing that anymore. I think the bottom line is that this is the code of conduct that people have said the Supreme Court needs to do. They've been considering doing it for years.
So they are trying to hit this target of legitimacy, right? And you mentioned all the political forces working on them. Does the code of conduct, and this is a tough question to answer because one doesn't know, but is there an enforcement mechanism? Is there sufficient stringency in this code of conduct to answer those questions of legitimacy, or are we still going to be battling this even though this has been issued?
This is a code of conduct. It's similar to what all federal judges now have to adhere to, but there is no enforcement mechanism, so to speak. It's up to the justices to enforce compliance. And already we're seeing some of those Senate Democrats, like Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois, hammering that. Like, this is now, we're just leaving it to the justices. This doesn't go far enough. This isn't enough. But here's the problem with that. The Supreme Court is not like the other lower courts. The Constitution of the United States creates the Supreme Court. It's the only court that is specifically created by the Constitution. And the Constitution also provides the enforcement mechanism for misconduct against justices, and that is impeachment. It doesn't suggest any other role for Congress in looking at whether they're complying with ethics rules or not. So that's kind of the rub there. I mean, the justices are going to argue that this goes as far as they can go. Senate Democrats are going to say this is totally inadequate and they've not gone far enough. But the main thing is they have got a code of conduct. That's what they've been calling for years. The justices have said that they need to do it. They're all on board with doing it, and all 9 of them have signed it and agreed to it going forward.
All right, so we got a code of conduct now for the Supreme Court justices. This is something I guess many people feel is a needed thing, but does it have real teeth behind it? I'll go to Ricardo. What do you feel, and what do you think about this new code of ethics for the Supreme Court? Oh, looks like we lost Ricardo. Hello, everybody can hear me?
Well, I personally believe
Okay.
this is like I used to wake up every day in 2002 and beat a puppy to death with a frozen bag of chicken. And now it's illegal to beat puppies with frozen bags of chicken. So I go get a frozen plantain and hide it in my back pocket and say, I would never hit a dog with a frozen bag of chicken while it's illegal. That was last year. I'm way better than that. I would never do that. And then when I turn around, I'm gonna hide my plantain and wait till you leave and then beat the dog with a plantain. That's all they're gonna do. They're gonna find other ways and loopholes to do the immoral foolishness that they were doing before. Because that is what this country is. It's elite rich finding ways to stay elite and rich by screwing over other people. That's what it is. They're gonna keep taking, they're not gonna take trips. They're gonna leave tickets on the floor. And if the justice just so happens to pick it up and realize, oh, it's to Bora Bora, I'm going there. And then when they get there out of the country, there's going to be a guy waiting in the room with a note letting them know what crooked foolishness they need to do, but they never actually met the person. So it doesn't really count. Come on, man. What country do y'all live in?
What planet? What planet are you from?
I'm from this one. I've seen all the foolishness I could ever see. No matter what you do, rich white people will find a way around it. It's what they do.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong about that at all. You're not wrong about that. It's so sad. You just gotta laugh.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, at least it's something. Does it have the teeth in it that other politicians and other people probably would have wanted? No, it doesn't. It's not strong, but I guess you can say it's a start. Ricardo, what do you think about the new code of ethics for the Supreme Court?
I mean, I'm not the least bit surprised. I mean, we've been seeing this for the past, couple of episodes back, where we were like, I mean, morally, there's certain things that just doesn't sit right, even though they have the obligation to abide by certain governing laws and whatnot. It's just, in a sense, just morally, there's certain things and questions that I feel like you shouldn't be doing, but then that's just how we feel. Doing a code of ethics, I think, just probably put them or tout them in line in terms of what they should be doing correctly. But echoing what Mike says, which, Mike is right, they're gonna find probably some
Okay.
they're gonna find some loophole around certain things when it comes to money, or when it comes to any I guess anything that they need to pass legislation wise. So there's certain things that we, the public, are not able to see. I mean, Washington is huge. So The Simpsons and other various, shows gives us an account of where you can meet up with somebody and they will, give you a hush money somewhere. So, I mean, in the eyes of the people, doing the right thing looks good on paper, but we all know they're going to go around the lines or the dotted lines to do something else. So, again, at the end of the day, we can only hope and pray and think that they're going to do the right thing and holding them accountable, because somebody needs to be policing them is the only way that they'll be able to be, taught in line. But if they're just going to be governing themselves, then, Mike ends up being right? Question mark? I'll leave that.
See, y'all keep trying to find ways around it. Just say Mike is right, exclamation point. Let it go.
So, MD, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is going far enough, or should it go a little further with the policing themselves thing here?
Well, again, the conversation that we had about a month ago about this very topic, I stand by my position. There's not one piece of legislation, be it a constitution, any committee, any federal bill, that says that a Supreme Court justice is not allowed to be affiliated or have an opinion of a particular policy. It just ain't there. In my opinion, all this, it's a nothing burger. It's going to continue to be a nothing burger. It's there to appease the shields in the Democratic Party because they was moaning, bitching, and complaining about Clarence Thomas going and go sipping Mai Tai somewhere on the beach. That's just what it is. The Supreme Court is not meant to be padres in a monastery. That ain't how it works. Ethics is there based on how they either dissent or confirm in certain federal cases. That's it. They sit there, they got a case in front of them, they debate, they vote, and then they give their opinions thereof from whichever side. That's what it's there for. I mean, and at the end of the day, they take out their robe and they scream, "Stop the steal," or MAGA, or women's rights, however they feel. They're civilians at the end of the day in that aspect. So when we talk about the role of the Supreme Court, their role is different from their political affiliation. How do I know that, MD? I know that because we just got finished talking about Roe v. Wade, thinking that certain ideologies was going to be the determining factor for how the case was going to be ruled on. It wasn't. So, yeah, this is a nothing burger. They just want to play politics at the end of the day. The Democrats see it as money getting placed under the table for certain forwarding on a political aspect, and it's not. It's just, hey, Clarence Thomas is a black Republican. Let's use him as a model for our lobby group. We're going to pay him a couple $100. We're going to give him a trip, and that's going to be the end of it. He's the model token Negro. Why wouldn't you want to have him as a marketing tool in your lobby?
But a Supreme Court justice shouldn't be a marketing tool. I mean,
he's a civilian.
This is not Daytona 500.
He's not a legislator. What's wrong with it?
So on that robe, there are gonna be logos of different corporations and different companies and whatnot. He's just gonna be just like a NASCAR driver.
Hey, you like the NBA, don't you? They done started doing that in the NBA.
Hey man, third person MD is in my top 5. That was hilarious. How do you know that, others? Because I heard it.
Exactly.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I was dying in the background. I had to go on mute several times. MD killed that one there. All right, so speaking of killing it, it's time to go into the lame duck. See which mother quacker we're going to deal with this week.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready?
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back
on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
I'm tired of being quiet.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron again today promised a fair investigation in the Breonna Taylor case, but refused to even give a hint of when he's going to announce his findings in the case. The findings we're all waiting to hear. He also told a Lexington radio station that he's looking closely into the Louisville Metro Police Department. Tonight, Gabrigagadis has his message.
In an interview with News Talk 590 in Lexington, Attorney General Daniel Cameron said when he first entered office, his goal has been to approach cases without fear of favor.
Make sure that we are doing a thorough job in investigating all matters that come through this office. We are certainly undertaking a thorough investigation as it relates to Miss Breonna Taylor.
Cameron says he has a trusted team of prosecutors reviewing every piece of the puzzle, and if some pieces are missing, his office will request additional information from LMPD's Public Integrity Unit. On Tuesday, when asked how close we might be to learning about the investigation's findings, Cameron's answer remained the same.
I can't do that. What I want to make sure that this office is in the business of doing is conducting a thorough investigation. We don't want to do anything to harm or hamper that investigation.
And that includes a top-to-bottom review of Louisville Metro Police Department.
How can police officers, in a general sense, be held responsible if they're acting on the behalf of the orders of others or are using a tactic that's accepted? In a general sense, does that complicate an investigation?
We are looking at every aspect and component of this case, and not just the incident of the shooting of Miss Taylor, but also leading up to the shooting and post-shooting. So that is something consistent with what I think you should expect.
But as patience wears thin, groups are organizing efforts to demand justice for Breonna Taylor. Next Tuesday, the organization Until Freedom, based in New York, is leading a direct action plan in Louisville to get the officers involved fired, arrested, and prosecuted.
911 Operator Harris, where is their emergency?
I don't know what's happening. Somebody kicked in the door and shot my girlfriend. Oh my God.
Can you check and see where she's been shot at?
I can't get on the stomach.
Okay. Is she alert and able to talk to you?
No, breathe.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Police say they were looking for drugs, but none were found at the apartment. The drug dealer they were investigating had already been arrested earlier that day. Kenny was initially arrested and charged with attempted murder. His case has since been dropped. But nearly 3 months later, the officers are still on the job. No charges filed.
Attorney General Merrick Garland and the nearly 2-year investigation into the Louisville Police Department. Garland releasing a report that found the city and its police force engaged in a pattern of unlawful and discriminatory policing, depriving people of their constitutional rights.
The department has concluded that there is reasonable cause to believe that Louisville Metro and LMPD engaged in a pattern or practice of conduct that violates the First and Fourth Amendments of the Constitution. Some have videotaped themselves throwing drinks at pedestrians from their cars, insulted people with disabilities, and called black people monkeys, animal, and boy. This conduct is unacceptable. It is heartbreaking.
That's the Attorney General. This investigation was originally prompted by national outrage after the death of Breonna Taylor, who was shot and killed by Louisville police officers while she was unarmed in her own apartment. The police officers had no justification, no reason at all to be there. They shot her dead.
Protesters were on the front lawn of Attorney General Daniel Cameron's East End house here in Louisville. WHS 11 reporter Grace McKenna and photojournalist Jessica Farley were there today as the New York group that protested his home in 2020 returned to downtown Louisville. They are now campaigning against Cameron's bid to become Kentucky governor.
On her daughter's 30th birthday, Breonna Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, joined organizing group Until Freedom to launch a voter engagement campaign against Attorney General Daniel Cameron's bid for governor.
We are begging you to center the most harmed people in your state and to send a message that they do matter.
Their primary message, that Cameron mishandled the investigation into Taylor's death, something the group has spoken out about in Louisville before. Some of its members shown in this campaign ad.
Somebody said, neighbor, did you hear that Daniel Cameron is using you?
At his own campaign event Monday, WHAS 11 asked Cameron about the group's push.
I haven't met a person across Kentucky that doesn't recognize what happened was a tragedy, but my responsibility as the Attorney General is to stand up and defend the law.
Cameron also pointed to Democrats and his opponent, Governor Beshear, saying he'll run on supporting police.
The far left can disparage and malign law enforcement, but I'm going to stand with law enforcement.
At Jefferson Square, the response to that message clear.
As a black face in Kentucky, I don't want to risk having a governor like Daniel Cameron standing against us.
If we simply act on emotion or outrage, there is no justice. Mob justice is not justice. Justice sought by violence is not justice. It just becomes revenge. And in our system, criminal justice isn't the quest for revenge. It's the quest for truth, evidence, and facts, and the use of that truth as we fairly apply our laws. Our reaction to the truth today says what kind of society we want to be. Do we really want the truth, or do we want a truth that fits our narrative?
A big thank you to President Donald J. Trump for his support and his endorsement of this campaign. Let me just say, the Trump culture of winning is alive and well in Kentucky. Well, that didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to. I promised the governor I'd be brief, so I'll be brief tonight and say thank you all.
Trump-backed candidates pick up where they left off in 2022 with Republican Daniel Cameron losing the governor's race in the deep red state of Kentucky.
Down goes Cameron. Down goes Cameron. This is a live look at the campaign party for Kentucky Governor Democrat Andy Beshear. He has defeated Black Republican Daniel Cameron for the governor's race. Daniel Cameron didn't do a damn thing in the Breonna Taylor case. Folks there campaigned against him. He apparently is running behind even other Republicans who are running statewide.
All right. There he is. To put the spotlight on Daniel Cameron, the week number 12 lame duck. We'll go this time to Sir Others. What are your viewpoints on this week's lame duck?
I would like everyone to know, I don't think it's been publicized that much, but Daniel Cameron is actually the adopted son of Ken Starr. So the reason the Breonna Taylor thing was taking so long is because he's gathering all the facts to make a report that would literally lead to nothing. He was just following in the footsteps of his family tree. She's trying to get that Cameron report to match the Ken Starr report, where it would look like something was going to happen and nothing was going to happen, because that's who this guy is. Nothing. He is a bowl of hot trash. No. He's garbage. He's not even American trash. He's French garbage. He's garbage. You got to say it with the and the little lines over it. He's so trash. And I've never seen someone so willing to sell his people out. Why do you say that, Michael? Easy. Because I listened to this man just say, he let off a soliloquy about how we're not here for revenge. We're here to you know, practice justice with the laws that are being upheld correctly. And no, they're not. The previous attorney general literally told you that they're not being held up. And this is a Trump judge who said this. What are you talking? We had the FBI literally say that the KKK is all throughout the police stations in America. So you know it's not being fair. They're gang units, not gang units, but units of gangs in LA police that have tattoos to let you know who they are.
Yep.
And everybody knows it, and no one does a thing because they have the super best lobby this side of MLB. No one will stop them. No one will do anything. That's why I'm a fatalist, because people just do a lot of talking. Hey, man, we got to stop this. But nobody shows up when it's time to vote in the locals. It's supposed to be illegal to put lies in textbooks, but apparently Texas does it. Nobody shows up to stop it. Everybody says, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. Nobody shows up to vote to stop it. So stop it. I'm not hearing it. We know he was bought and sold by Trump. One of the blacks, he's probably one of them dudes wearing the Blacks for Trump shirts in the back of his campaign way back in the day. And they just saw him and was like, hey, where you live? Oh, I live in Kentucky. We're going to send this Negro up to be governor. Nah, bro, you're lame. You're lame. You disrespected that woman's family. There is literally no reason to kick someone's door in and open fire. That's crazy. They're supposed to be trained. They're supposed to have training. They're supposed to have reevaluations. But there's none. Police can do what they want and they get away with it. They've been breaking First and Fourth Amendments for centuries, since before the police was actually the police, when they were just over. They're going to do what they want. No one's going to stop it. I don't know why anyone thinks anything better is going to happen. What country do you all live in?
But to be fair, Mike, I believe recently those cops were finally brought to justice or faced some sort of time, I believe. And you have Daniel Cameron. He was trying to run for the governor, and you saw all these activists. They rallied, they got together, and they diligently went door to door, and they pretty much campaigned to get him out of there.
Quick
And
question.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Do all of the people who were victimized while these police were still on the street years after Breonna Taylor, do you think they feel like something happened?
But a valid point, Mike. That's a valid point. But
and the plethora of other police who are doing the same thing, who have been acquitted, who have been litigated by their own, and who have been found not guilty, even though there's evidence that they did it. Do you think that these few little cops that makes up for the others?
But what it means is there's a step, right? So there's different degrees to it. It's like, so if you remember, like Rodney King beating and other issues way back in the 90s and the 80s, and they never get charged. They like, you're not going to charge us. You're not going to do nothing. And they move on and they continue their careers and they retire and everything. Now we fast forward George Floyd time, and now you see something happening that's a little different than in the past.
Sir,
so yeah, change isn't the way we want it to be. We build to that. You know what I'm saying?
My beloved brother,
oh Lord,
I would bet you money that these men don't spend a third of the time that they are sentenced to, and when they get out, there'll be a GoFundMe. They'll have some kind of book signing. There'll be something that they'll make money off of this. Just like the guys who beat up on Rodney King, like you said, who went on to have big book deals and make so much money, and Rodney King probably died broke because this is the way.
I don't doubt what you're saying. I mean, you're making valid points, but I do feel that you can never be submissive and just stay still. I'd rather go out punching the person that's going to be an aggressor to me rather than just sit there and just take my hits. I'm gonna leave a scratch. I'm gonna do something, and I just feel like you should always be in fight mode.
I
But
respect that. I respect that. With
yeah,
them
yeah.
scratches.
I'll never stay quiet and just idly just watch as I'm being vandalized or whatnot. There's gonna be some furniture moving.
I don't want you to be quiet. I want us all to watch the spook who sat by the door and put it in motion. But most of y'all ain't never even seen the movie.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Vancat. What do you believe is the driving force behind the excessive nature of dealing with conflicts amongst police? Well, in your opinion,
racism.
What's the driving force? Damn. I tried to stop you because I already knew what Mike's answer was going to be.
I ain't saying nothing.
But I already know what you was going to say.
White supremacy.
What racism, white supremacy. Okay, cool. In my opinion, I would say the aspect of not dealing with, I guess you would say, direct consequence, as opposed to community outcry, where there would be consequence based on an opinion or a viewpoint. Let me ask you, the qualified immunity, where does that come from, Vancat? How did that start? Do you know?
Yeah, you tell me.
It started from the union.
Go ahead.
Did not
the
say
union. The unions in the police aspect of any state, in any municipality, any county, whatever. One of the driving messages in unionization of the police department was immunity. You know how I feel about unions, Vancat. Unions allow a microcosm of a macrocosm when it comes to government. And the police department, as we all would say, is the security wing behind a lot of these governments in the aspect of how they view or how they aspire said municipality, city, county to be. If we get rid of the unions, and I'm not just talking about overall, I'm just dealing specifically with police department. If we get rid of the unions in police departments and hold individual police officers accountable, this shit would change overnight. Why? Because then they will be held liable for anything that they do, just like a citizen is held liable for anything they do when it comes to excessive force, firearms, et cetera, et cetera.
And why won't that happen, sir?
Well, I just told you why it won't happen, because they're the security wing of said municipality, city, state, whatever. But that's the problem to begin with. So, what I'm saying is, go ahead.
So, MD, so in a nutshell, what you're telling me is that the unions are very successful at what they do.
If you want to look at it, if you want to look at it that way, if you want to look at it that way, I'll take that. I concede to that.
Yeah,
I concede to it. They very evil.
Yeah,
so
for good or bad.
They're only good when they're backed by white supremacy.
Gotcha. But what I'm saying is, when you're dealing with any type of civil servant that's authorized to carry a weapon, that don't take away from the fact that they're still subject to the laws of a person with a firearm. If a bullet leave out of my gun, I'm responsible for that bullet. Period. The same should be taken into account with any civil servant that's authorized to have a firearm. I don't see how there could be some type of immunity based on the fact that you have a lethal weapon authorized by the government. That's stupid to me. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like you're at war, or you're in the military, or you're in some foreign land. Like, this is the United States of America at the end of the day. You're still subject to all the laws that I'm subject to. But because of unionization and being able to make a stronghold out of a subjection of what you feel you should be in a higher regard of a civil servant, then you just become an overseer.
That
And
was a
this is
long-winded
America.
way to say white supremacy.
Nah, I ain't see. Nah, you ain't gonna get me with that. I ain't gonna say white supremacy because just as many Negroes shooting as cops as white folk.
Oh
So
yes, but the top is white supremacy, not the bottom. There's a whole bunch of Sambos out there that's willing to be middle management for white supremacy just to get that badge. Trust me. But the top is white supremacy.
so where's white supremacy at when a white person with Down syndrome gets shot and killed because he having an episode? Where's that at? Where
It's
like I said,
it's not in the shooting, it's in the cover-up. Because this is the white.
But you're still not dealing with an aspect of race, though.
I'm not saying, you're confusing what I'm saying. White supremacy isn't race-based. White supremacy is us versus them. And we will keep us in power no matter what. That's white supremacy. The police are just the security arm for white supremacy. So if you're poor and white, you get treated the same unless you're dealing with the black. But if it's a poor white versus rich white, you going down too.
Exactly. You don't want to get all that poorness on you.
See, I don't call that racism, white supremacy. I call that an ideology of the egalitarian versus the owning class. So you know what I'm saying? That's essentially what you're saying.
But that's white supremacy, sir, because that's
I don't agree with that.
That you're conflating racism with who's in charge. Now, are they racist? Yeah, they're racist too. But you remember when we were talking about the Baker's Rebellion when they made the white race?
Yeah.
That's white. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying white hate black. I'm saying white as in the race they invented to separate themselves from others. Supremacy. We are on top. And then they made a buffer zone of middle class and poor whites to buffer them from the poor blacks. It's white supremacy. It's the supremacy of the whites. It doesn't necessarily mean we hate niggers. They just happen to hate niggas too. But I'm not talking about racism. I'm talking about the supremacy of whites.
Okay.
All right. And
I say that egalitarian versus owning class, but you know.
Tomato, my brother, as long as you understand.
But I don't even believe that. But I'm just telling you something different in my eyes.
If you don't believe the words you saying, ain't nothing I can do for you there. That's psychotic.
Ricardo, what's your viewpoint on the lame duck hair, Daniel Cameron?
I mean, color me not surprised. I mean, we knew he was going to try some shenanigans after what he did with the whole Breonna Taylor case. I think a whole bunch of us, well, when I say us, Black people in this country, because we were watching with a microscopic eye, was trying to see if he was going to really like go out on a limb just once for us. And when he didn't, I said, you know what? I call it within the next probably couple, if not couple years, this dude is just going to be waning by, when I mean waning, like he's going to be just slithering out and no one will give a damn. It's not so much that, I mean, he was Attorney General for Kentucky, if not mistaken. And I think he had some political affiliation to Mitch McConnell, which you all know I can't stand Turtleface. So it's like,
yep.
It's infuriating because he just kept touting, like he just kept acting like, oh, I'm so oblivious. I have no idea. I'm just doing for the will of the people of Kentucky and what she did. And the whole time I'm saying to myself, brother, just once, just for once, just for us, just do something good. He couldn't even do that. And it was a clear-cut case because you literally entered her premises, her domicile, and you shot her. And she ended up dead. So it
and remember, they didn't have uniforms on. They were plain clothes dressed.
She was asking for it.
Right. So it was
So it's past midnight. Plain clothes people are at your door, and now they're shooting. That's crazy.
and then they made it clear that things it's like it basically from what we've been told from the case is like things happen, errors are made, but I don't think they did it on purpose. And like bullshit, I'm trying not to say the word I'm trying to say here, but I call it BS. Like it, at least. So I'm assuming if I'm not mistaken, two of the police officers or law enforcement officers were charged for the case, but everybody else got off. I think that's what happened, or they all got something for the sake of just saying, hey, we want to give them some sort of, there's not a riot, because at the time, if you remember, there was like a huge rioting thing with the Black Lives Matter, and people, certain cities just didn't want that kind of stain on them. So it was just
Twin.
Go
Twin,
ahead.
quick question. Sorry to bother you. How
Very
many
good.
people went to jail in the Rodney King thing? Out of the 4 cops?
Out of the 4 of them, I don't think none of them went to jail.
No, I believe at the end of the day, 2 of them were charged. I think that's the exact same thing they did in this case, right?
Right.
Yeah, those punches Van Cat talking about ain't doing nothing. Continue.
So my thing now is, do you expect us, like your own people, to feel sorry for you at the end of the day? No, not really, because you had an opportunity to do something if the case was presented to you as the attorney general. You didn't do diddly squat. So at this given moment, you're trying to run for governor. Please sit down somewhere and find a book that is more resourceful to you, because.
But Ricard,
go ahead.
Damn. No, I was gonna say, Cameron, he could have indicted all those police officers. He could have fed the homeless. He could have made the Ohio River into wine.
Could have.
He could have done a lot of stuff. We talking about the state of Kentucky. Ain't no way in hell this man was finna. And we talking about from as a Republican candidate, token Negro. This man wasn't finna be governor. Let's stop playing. Let's stop playing with ourselves. It just wasn't gonna happen.
It was definitely not.
He could have did everything right. It was not gonna happen. Bashir is under the wing of he learned under the feet of the Dixiecrat. That's just what it is. So yeah, we gotta stop playing like it ain't like lame duck. He wasn't even no duck to begin with, because he was gonna be out of it regardless. It don't matter what he did.
You can't blame the man for trying, but still, it was just not gonna happen. I mean, from the
So
Brianna case, it just
I'm sorry.
we knew it.
I'm sorry, Ricardo. I just want to say, so MD, you think that he didn't lose because of the affiliation with Trump and McConnell, and voters backlash because of Breonna Taylor and all these other intangibles that are around. He lost because he was never going to win because of the state that was there and the race that he's in.
Right. So check this out. Kentucky is not like a state like Georgia or let's see what's another, like trying to think of another Democrat.
It's in the Appalachian Mountains.
Virginia.
Kentucky, yeah, Virginia, that's a good one.
You're welcome.
Like, yeah, Louisville is a highly concentrated black area, yeah.
Right.
But outside of that, it really ain't nothing else going on. You know what I'm saying? The fact that Bashir is like I said again, Bashir come out the Dixiecrat camp. You know what I'm saying? Kentucky still holds that value of social nationalistic. I use my word, racism, white supremacy.
There you go.
So what I'm saying is, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if he indicted them cops or not. He might have won Louisville, but that's it. You know what I'm saying?
See, a real man would have did it. He'd have known I can't win this anyway. let me just hang these cops up while I can, and then get dusted out like I'm supposed to.
Exactly.
Right. Right,
Exactly.
because he didn't stand for anything. Yeah, he didn't stand for a damn thing.
So therefore, goodbye, kiddo. We don't miss you. Have fun.
And like I said, Louisville, it's weird. Louisville is weird. The chief of police at the time, the white, I forget her name, but she came from Atlanta. She was the chief of police of Atlanta, and she resigned over the dude that got killed at the Wendy's during the George Floyd stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. The Wendy's. Yeah.
She resigned, went to Louisville. As soon as she got to Louisville, Breonna Taylor happened.
Oh wow.
Hey, keep that from Orlando.
Wow.
So again, it's like, yes, the Democratic stronghold in that state is Louisville, but to try to link yourself up with the Republican Party, thinking that you was going to be some type of beacon of light to that constituency, like, nah, you ain't white enough to be that beacon of light. You know what I'm saying? So I'll concede to you on that, Mike. That's the only time that's gonna happen. I'll concede.
It's not, but I appreciate it.
Well, I just love the scene when after he lost, he had to get up on that stage and his wife just crying with Niagara Falls, just crying.
You know, she probably left him right after that. I thought you were going to be one of the successful ones.
Exactly. All right, so let's get into the State of the Union. It'll be about more Republican antics. We'll be right there.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy TikTok Terry. And this song is dedicated to all the parents out there who say F them kids on a day-to-day basis. Now we take care of our kids, stand 10 toes down for our kids. But one thing's for certain, man, F them kids. F them kids, man, F them kids. All my parents in the back scream, F them kids. F them kids, man, F them kids. F this job, F them bills, and F them kids. Talk back, F them kids. Spend your money, F them kids.
We talk about personal responsibility as one of the major principles that the Republican Party stands on. Yes, I can understand kids going hungry, but is that really the problem of the school district? Is that the problem of the state of North Dakota? It's really the problem of parents being negligent with their kids if their kids are choosing to eat in the first place, which is entirely the problem that could be existing here. I don't believe that it is our responsibility to carry on a program in excess of what the federal government already does. Where does it stop?
The question that is in the top of my mind is how we get this money that's supposedly aimed at the most needy students and the lowest performing students. What's the measure of improvement for this money coming in? How much has it improved the performance of these students?
Tennessee Republican state lawmaker John Reagan questioned yesterday whether the state should accept federal funds that in part go toward feeding school children unless it can be proven. He needs to see the receipts, he needs to see the proof that feeding these kids actually improves their performance in school.
Are tying ourselves to the federal government by accepting their money to do this thing, then it would have seemed to me that we as a state should be looking for the improvements that this money is purportedly going to make. Otherwise, we're just throwing money at something and being potentially wasteful. That goes back to the other issue that I asked about, though, the compliance issue. Yesterday, a question was addressed concerning the nutrition program related to the waste that's involved in that. To my knowledge, there is no measurement of that waste. Are you aware of any measure?
In terms of food waste?
Yes.
I'm not aware. No, I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, it is rich to hear a guy who looks like he hasn't skipped a single meal question whether these children should be fed school lunch and whether being hungry has any impact on their ability to perform in school.
North Dakota's Senate recently passed a bill to increase the amount of money that state employees can collect for meals while they're traveling on the job, raised it from $35 to $45 a day. And this is a benefit that lawmakers, of course, will be able to enjoy as they are state employees themselves. So it's a nice little perk that they've passed for themselves. And in a vacuum, I really wouldn't see a big issue over this. The bill is going to cost taxpayers $1 million over the next 2 years, and it's now waiting for the governor's signature to become law. Now, $45 a day for food may sound like a lot, sure, but you have to consider that if you're traveling, you're not really going to be able to cook. You're going to be eating out. $10 for breakfast, $15 maybe for lunch, $20 for dinner. That adds up to $45. Okay, I think this makes sense. However, here is the rub. Less than 2 weeks ago, the Senate in North Dakota rejected a separate bill that would have provided $6 million over the next 2 years to give free school lunches to all K-12 students living at or below 200% of the federal poverty level. The bill failed by a single vote, with 13 Republicans voting against it, despite how they backed this recent bill about reimbursement for state employees. We're hearing some reactions from North Dakota lawmakers about this, including Senate Minority Leader Kathy Hogan, who's a Democrat. She criticized the Senate for voting for more free food for themselves while rejecting the bill to provide food to hungry children. However, we're also hearing from Republicans like Assistant Majority Leader Jerry Klein, who claimed that he failed to see any correlation between the two bills, which is laughable in my opinion, because they both literally have to do with paying for meals for people, one group of people being state officials and the other group of people being students. And then get a load of this one. State Senator Mike Wobema cited personal responsibility for why kids shouldn't get free meals and blamed negligent parents for the problem. Yeah, so lack of personal responsibility among what? Kindergartners, first graders, second graders? I mean, how does that make any sense whatsoever? North Dakota has the second highest child poverty rate in the U.S., to put this in context, and over 30% of its K-12 students qualify for free or reduced price lunches. So this state, more than almost every other state in the union, is in need of a bill like this.
Okay, so there you have it. Piece there would broke down multiple instances where the Republican Party generally not really caring about the kids, from cutting teachers in schools, cutting lunch programs in multiple states. So I'll go to MD on this one. MD, what's your viewpoint on this?
Hey, go to somebody else real quick. I'm reconnecting to this trailer. My bad. I'll be right back.
All right, so we'll go to Senor Others.
Nah, go to Ricardo because I went first last. No, I'm playing.
So you reconnecting the trailer too?
Yeah, I got two trailers.
Yeah.
and one got a W.
Oh, you hauling doubles. You making more money than me.
Man, I'm broke as hell, bro. I wish. But I find it comical that it was right after the bill for their own food. And honestly, I think most red states are still mad that they had to provide free lunch for the kids in the first place. Because I think it was just made because the Black Panthers did it and the white people didn't want to seem embarrassed by the Negroes paying for them kids to eat. I think that's the only reason they got adopted as far as it did. It's hilarious to me how they will turn down money, which is basically free money. They turn down money.
The federal government is giving them the money. It's not coming out of their budget.
I love how they turn down free money just to try to say something in the future like, we didn't take it. And we need to buy a state. Black people need to buy a state and let that just be our state. Have our own police, our own stuff, and then let white people see how awesome it is to not have us in their states anymore. I really feel like that's the only way they'll stop being asses, because they really think that it makes sense to punish as many poor as they can. And they don't understand that it's more poor whites than blacks.
Exactly.
So if we could just extricate ourselves, we should buy Georgia, because black people can't be in the cold too tough. We should buy Georgia and let all black people move to Georgia for free, and then just run Georgia. We'll leave it the way it is, where in the zones we'll let Atlanta can have all the Negroes, all of the thug N-words, you know what I'm saying? They can stay there. We'll leave the outside for us upstanding black people who don't want to, who ain't trying to be gangsters. And we just move away from all it, because the black people in North Dakota ain't hurting nobody. Why can't the kids eat? I don't understand. There's literally no logical sense to it, other than to show their base, we didn't take that government funding. Yeah, we're states.
The guy said, when does it end?
You know when it'll end, when it burn down.
Oh man, he's got free money to give for food for kids in need, and he's talking about, well, we can't keep doing this. When will this end?
Hey, they need personal responsibility. Those 9-year-olds, they need to
Wow.
learn.
I
Get
know.
out there and get a lemonade stand.
So Ricardo, what's your thought on this story here?
Something hopeful.
It says something awful. No, I mean, you know why they won't take the money, because again, it sounds like that S word, that word they can't stand, socialism.
There you go.
Which they live in.
And it's like at the end of the day, if you're giving out an incentive to a state like North Dakota, but then it doesn't surprise me, because this is the same state that also refused, or is the reason why we don't have the student loans thing getting played out here, because their banking system is a part of that whole initiative of locking or giving out the loans. So imagine if the government just decides to wipe everything clean, it will then interrupt what their balance books would look like. So nothing surprises me when it comes to the politics of these states like North Dakota, the corn country state of them all. But again, it falls back on that word, socialism. It's just one of them things that it makes it look good on paper when it comes to election time. See, we didn't take anything from the federal government. We were perfectly fine. So therefore, there's no need for us to take anything. That's why, they won't take it. But you punishing kids for the sake of your ideology and politics is just plain stupid. And to me, that's just like, it says a lot in terms of how they are and how they play the politics game. But it's kind of redundant and stupid. So nothing surprises me. But then thinking about the future here, does it surprise anybody else? Really not.
Man, nothing surprises me about this goofy ass country.
So just to be clear too, on that video piece, there's actually 2 states. So there's North Dakota in the first part of it, and then the second part was Tennessee. So both doing the same sort of shenanigans right there. And as one goes, the other one follows.
And when crime raises up and they say, I don't understand why, and then the people say, because my kid was hungry and I had to feed him.
Damn right.
I wonder what they're gonna say then.
Damn right. Hey, MD, are you available?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you have any thoughts on it, or you're not available?
I'll just say this for the lack of not being the antagonist. I'll say, yes, I agree that any child that needs lunch that's not able to provide their own lunch, yes, they should be afforded the lunch via the state in a federal program, however it may be. Here's the thing, though, Van Cat. See, you didn't do enough investigative journalism in this report.
Get them.
The reason that, and I saw this report, and I also saw an extended reason behind what they were saying. The reason, and do I agree with it? I'm indifferent to it in the fact that I do agree with school lunch for the ones that need it. In terms of, they were linking the reduced lunch program with the overall core curriculum of the federal core curriculum program. There's no distinction between the two. It's all bundled together. So in their failed attempt to try to justify kids not eating at school, they were also denying this core curriculum from the federal level based on their own right-wing Christian national ideology. Because we all know core curriculum, as defined by the federal government, doesn't go by the principle of these white conservatives. So it's really a fight for I guess you would say, the autonomy of the states to adequately come up with their own curriculum from the aspect of the public aspect. Now, you do have a state curriculum, but that curriculum is not tied to the federal programs that you get, i.e. reduced lunch, blah, 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 stuff like that. Do I agree with it? No. Because I do feel that, again, if it's a federal program there that's able to provide for the less fortunate kids, it need to be there. You know what I mean? My capitalist side will say, hey, privatize all schools. But we know that's not possible. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that.
100%. Yeah, I got that one. All right. So as far as this story, it's just another one where, sometimes you gotta weigh out, like, I understand ideologies and blah blah blah, but at the end of the day, it's a program that's being funded by the federal government. That should be a no-brainer. Boom, be done. But there's always an alternative method, and I don't know. It's nonsense to me, to be honest. It's really not. And at the end of the day, they're playing politics, but the kids that are not going to be able to get those lunches are the ones that are going to pay the price.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go into the last video. The video is the nightcap video of the evening, and then we'll sign off with our final words. And let's go right into that now.
Breaking news. New York Mayor Eric Adams confirming that the FBI has seized a cell phone from him as part of a federal investigation. This coming just days after FBI agents executed a search warrant at the home of Adams' chief fundraiser.
More about the FBI's investigation into Mayor Eric Adams' 2021 campaign and alleged texts showing the mayor helped fast-track the opening of a Turkish consulate.
This comes after several electronic devices, including phones and iPads, were seized by investigators last week.
The nearly $300 million 35-story Turkish consulate across from the United Nations opened to great fanfare in September 2021. The Turkish president even presided over the grand opening. But according to a front-page story in today's New York Times, the FBI is now investigating whether then Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, who had just won the Democratic primary for mayor, pressured fire department officials to approve the building despite safety concerns about it. The Times reports that 10 days ago, on November 3rd, FBI agents knocked on the door of former fire commissioner Dan Nigro to ask him about the involvement of Adams. That was one day after the FBI executed a search warrant at the home of Brianna Suggs, the mayor's top fundraiser. According to the Times, the FBI is looking into whether the Adams campaign gave benefits to the Turkish government, Turkish nationals, or a Brooklyn construction company owned by Turkish immigrants in exchange for donations. It is illegal to accept donations from foreign nationals. In a statement to Fox 5, City Hall's chief counsel said, The mayor and our team are continuing to work with investigators and cooperate. We hope that investigators will continue to cooperate with us and reprimand any federal officer who has improperly leaked details about this investigation, as such conduct could prejudice the public and undermines the integrity of our law enforcement process. 1 week ago today, the mayor turned over electronic devices to the FBI following an event he had at NYU. At this point, neither Suggs nor the mayor has been accused of wrongdoing. The mayor maintains close ties to the Turkish community. In 2015, the Turkish consulate general partially paid for a trip he took to Turkey as Brooklyn Borough president. And just last month, he presided over a flag-raising ceremony in Lower Manhattan to mark the 100th anniversary of the Turkish Republic. In May, after police say a man shattered windows at the consulate, Adams came to see the damage for himself.
Okay, so Democratic Mayor Eric Adams, he has a FBI probe on him in possible, really a conflict of interest right there. What is our viewpoint here? We'll start off with Ricardo. What's our view on Eric Adams, the New York mayor?
Sorry, sir. I had to go first, so don't hit me. It's all good, twin. Yeah, I'm kind of was taken back by the story because I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting, the new progressive mayor to be entwined in this kind of corruption investigation kind of thing, especially in the largest city in the entire continental U.S. What would that be? Nothing surprises me anymore, and the more I think about it, the more I put correlations into place here. Certain things just didn't seem to be adding up. So, the mantra of we want to make sure, though, because we don't want to say things, so we're going to say allege. We're going to just assume he's innocent for the time being until presumed guilty or is, given the guilty verdict here. But it's kind of sad to me because this whole time he was making himself look like, hey, I'm this type of new dude that comes down the block and I'm here to change up things. But I knew they were going to get him at some point because he seemed to be getting a lot of people angry. And it didn't help the case when he got the Jewish population in New York upset not too long ago, a month ago. So I knew it was coming. Let's just hope. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe, perhaps, because it comes down to ethics and moral here. This is why he was saying MD when, if God forbid, Clarence Thomas was in something in like a predicament like this, how it looks perception-wise is how, people are going to say, well, why was he there in the first place? The same thing is applicable to him here. Why were you, trying to get, it sounds like it's either they came to you, the Turkish embassy or consulate, and you decided to take bribes to open the consulate. But then again, why would you need to take cell phones or electronics from foreign body or government state? Like, you know better. When you take certain jobs, there's certain things you can't do. It's just like a pastor. I try to be like humorous, like my twin. It's like a pastor trying to like say, "Oh, I'm gonna be a bouncer at a strip club." Like, come on, dude. The perception of that just in itself is just wrong. So you can't do that, but you still did it anyway. So what did you think was gonna happen? Do you not think that there was gonna be private investigations and whatnot that will surface later on? I mean, have you not learned throughout the years? But I digress. We'll see what happens. But he's dead ass wrong, and I think this is probably the last straw for him. And if I were him, I would be a little bit petrified right now because once they have you under investigation, it's pretty much a wrap.
All right, what's your viewpoint? Others, Senor Others.
It's your royal others.
You loyal others.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Respect the monarchy. I'm gonna say this first and foremost. My twin, I'm the hilarious one. Just be you. You fly. You ain't got to be like me.
Facts.
You feel me? Secondly, if Murder Inc. could beat the feds, my dude could beat the feds too.
Not Murder Inc.
You know what I'm saying? If Ja Rule and Irv Gotti and them could beat the feds ain't that popping. And from what I heard, Young Thug might be getting closer to beating them, even though they just said they gonna put his lyrics in against them or whatever.
Oh,
feds
Lord.
ain't everybody
That's
scared
crazy.
of feds. Feds
That's
ain't that
crazy
scary.
stuff.
And I'm gonna say this: it's real funny that whenever the Jews get mad at you, the federal government ain't far behind. I find that real funny. You feel me? It's real suspicious. So he's probably gonna end up. His name's gonna be marred and drugged through the mud, and then all of a sudden they're gonna find nothing after they suck up all his money and resources. It's gonna be all about nothing. That's my 30% bet. I bet on that with $100 and hopefully get 4-1 odds. Because I doubt they ain't gonna get nothing.
It'd be interesting to see what happens going down the road. I think he's cooperating and, doing whatever he needs to do. Unlike Trump, who's continually just becoming a pest and throwing a monkey wrench in the process. MD, are you available?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, bro. I'm here.
You gotta ask MD to ask MD.
I got it. So what do you think about
I gotta say, I find it very hypocritical.
Hypocritical?
Y'all sat here and talked about Clarence Thomas taking a couple $100, going on trips. This man is not a legislator. Then y'all try to find an excuse to make Eric Adams look as if he didn't do nothing wrong when he shaking hands with Erdogan in Turkey.
Allegedly.
To get allegedly shaking hands with Erdogan, getting backdoor payments to open up consulate. Now that's a legislator.
I heard they doing the same thing in NASCAR, bro. Somebody told me that.
Hey, again, and this is a common theme at this point. Hell, you might be right, Mike. I might just have to accept racism, white supremacy, because the Negro always getting caught up in something.
Yeah,
when he gets hot.
Yep.
Damn shame.
With all the crookedness going on with white people, it's only the Negroes that get caught.
Yeah, because, week after week, we're seeing all these weird cases of abuse of power and corruption and all this stuff. Like politician after politician within the last several weeks, we've covered some here. And this guy comes up and he look like he's in the most trouble of all of them.
Right. When I seen the report, they were describing how it happened. I think they were saying he was coming out of a building or something, and they said just a black SUV pull. He didn't know if he was about to get kidnapped or what.
No.
They just told him he got to come with him, and they confiscated his phone and all of that. He didn't know what the hell was going on. I guess initially, So yeah, so you know what I mean. So again,
like a movie.
But that don't take away from the track record of Negroes being corrupt. Like I said, in this particular case, did he do it? I don't know. We'll find out.
We will.
But if I'm going off history, I'm gonna just connect them dots.
He's out of there. You know who never really gets in trouble? The white people with actual power. You ever notice that?
Well, from here on out, that's what I'm rocking
never
with.
Get in trouble.
You know the white people, like the people that sign LeBron James checks.
Yeah.
The
I saw y'all arguing.
MD did not chime in.
Yeah. I ain't a basketball guy. That's y'all got that. Y'all got that. Y'all were going in. I was like, what the hell?
Don't worry, MD. Just like in everything else that we discuss, just know 3 words. Mike is right.
I got you.
My dog.
All right, so we're about to wrap things up. So we'll start with MD up and final words.
Yeah, again, as always, great show. You know what I'm saying? Pertinent topics tonight. Again, the prophet amongst men, you know what I mean? And we just and it's been foretold that's a new prophet. Van Cat called it a month ago about the ethics, even though I don't agree. He called it and it happened. It came to fruition. So shout out to Prophet Van Cat. Now in the aspect of other news and notes, again, you know, the Israel stuff still going on. Biden approved another 10 billion to Iran. So that indicates that Biden don't want no smoke with Iran. So, you know, I mean, I guess that's a good thing because it you know, we won't have World War III, so to speak. So keep your eyes on Israel, you know what I mean? All the news and notes. And shout out to everybody.
All right, and we'll leave the last word for Mike. So we'll go with Ricardo.
So, Sir Others, I'm sorry again. I do, you know, in front of you. Tonight's show, great show. Glad to see Sir Royal us take the panel. It's always good having you on here. Yeah, again, so for all my peoples out there, when it comes to the abortion topic, like we said, I mean, majority of the point, the sentiments was, you know, you're all adults. You know, if you do the deed or you decide to lay down and whatnot, you're taking maturity in your hands. Just do know that you hold a responsibility when it comes to choice. At the same length and breath, you know, everybody's gonna have their opinion. It's one of them topics that will always forever be very controversial and problematic because, you know, no one will ever get a good say so. But with that being stated, you do your deed as an adult. The expectation is that you know, correct your deed. So don't expect the government to always bail you out in terms of when it comes to morality. That's not their job. Their job is to govern, but they don't do it entirely perfect. So the other thing I wanted to state was, again, MD is right. The Israel topic is just not going to go anywhere. This is going to lead us right into the new year. It's always something that's going to be fickle that will distract us, but there's certain things that we need to keep our eyes on. That's one. And then Ukraine is just that little tiny dot that's now oblivious to everybody else because they're like, hey, we're waving over here and no one's paying attention to me. It's that kid in the back of the class that no one wants to pay attention to. It's not getting any attention anymore. So that's scary to me because that's an indication that we're heading into a direction that we've seen in history before that I don't want to say. Again, great show. I look forward to our next topic. Stay safe out there, everybody, and be happy and mellow and joyful and hold our hope. Like I'm telling my twin, hope is the future, like Obama said, if you believe it.
All right, thank you, Ricardo. And now we got the incomparable Mike. The floor is yours, sir.
Your royal others.
Royal others.
Oh, thank you. Me? Oh, appreciate it. First, I'd like to state that there is no hope. My twin is delusional, but I love him regardless. Secondly, I'd like to state I know you heard him say that MD was right about something. Just so the people know that are confused, MD can be right about things too, but if he goes against Mike, then Mike is right. Just so everybody's clear. Third, it's just how it goes. No disrespect. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you're right as long as I'm not in the conversation. Because you're really smart. That's why whenever you go off, I shut up. I let you rock. Because there's no need for me. You're already right.
I got you.
You feel me?
I appreciate it.
Third, I'd like to say to hell with all three of y'all because I had a really good Ken Starr joke and none of y'all bit it. Like y'all don't remember who Ken Starr is. Y'all are political. Y'all are political hilarious people. Y'all were supposed to get that joke.
We've been got it.
Ain't nobody chuckled. That was funny. It's a Ken Starr. He made a Ken Starr report. Full bunch of facts and nothing. Didn't anyway. And last but not least, what? Huh? Oh, my bad. MD told MD to tell me to tell Mike to tell others that we done.
All right.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Yo, third person MD is my top 5 favorite. You right it? You behind Angry Van Cat and Angry Trevor.
Hey, one more thing.
Sorry. Lastly,
go ahead.
I would like to welcome MD to the Straight Talk Society. We glad to have you. You are a welcome addition. You are blue chip. You are a blue chip first round draft pick, and we stole you. And I don't know when you're getting a signing bonus, but we ain't gonna annoy you. I hope that's good enough.
So
I got you, man. Y'all crazy as hell.
So Mike, would this be on the same level as like when the Orlando Magic drafted Shaquille O'Neal? It's like the same type of level of impact, right?
Well, when the Orlando Magic drafted Shaquille O'Neal, that's really when I signed on.
Oh, okay.
So MD is like when Tim Duncan got drafted by the Spurs.
Oh, big fundamentals.
You feel me? Because
yeah. That I'll take that because I'm technical, like Duncan. I'll take that.
Exactly.
I'll take that.
And we already we had Van Cat as Popovich. You had my old ass as Tim as a young Kawhi Leonard. You had my twin as David Robinson. He was leaving, but he already had he was like, I'm just gonna get these chips and chill. You know what I'm saying? We had the big dogs already stomping, bro. That's what we doing. And I know Kawhi wasn't on the team. That's not the point. Don't mess with my analogy. Move on.
Shout out to Maria G. Go ahead, MD.
One last thing, and maybe we'll bring it up next week. In regards to the stay for next year and with the budget, we're looking at literally. I want y'all to take this like just think about, analyze this for a second. We're looking at the same exact situation potentially as Mike McCarthy was in with a whole new Speaker of the House. The hypocrisy of it all.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So maybe we'll get into that next week, but I just wanted to say that.
But will Matt Gaetz face any heat for this?
He should, but he won't.
I mean, that's a lot of disruption, chaos, and incompetence that the Republican Party, that was bad exposure for the Republican Party.
Are you talking about Republicans taking accountability? What country have you been living in?
There it goes. Oh, boy. I guess.
Right after women on the not taking accountability phase. There's a list. Women, Republicans, and then Northern Democrats. Yeah, I said it.
All right. So I'd like to thank everybody in the panel, the world's most dangerous panel, Take Piss Politics. We'll see you guys next week. For Ricardo, for MD, for Mike.
Your royal others.
The royal others. Man. Shout out to Trevor. And note from Maria G. I was thinking the same thing. Kevin McCarthy needs to go. All right. So for everyone on the panel, Straight Talk Society, thank you for watching us this evening. We'll see you next week. Until then, peace.
Well, peace, not really peace, because ain't no peace in this country, but it was a good try.
Peace.
All right.